My husband swore he was working late, so I planted a tracker in his car, followed him to a hotel, filmed everything, and made sure his boss, his other lover husband, and the divorce lawyer got a copy. My name is Sarah, and I've been married to my husband, Mark, for 15 years. We live in Chicago, Illinois, and have 2 wonderful children together. Our life seemed perfect from the outside, but as I've learned, appearances can be deceiving. Mark has always been a hardworking man. He works as a project manager for a construction company, earning a good salary that allows us to live comfortably. I admired his dedication and believed his late nights were a testament to his commitment to providing for our family. However, over the past few months, his working late excuses became more frequent, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. It started with subtle changes. Mark became more protective of his phone, taking it with him everywhere and keeping it face down when he placed it on the table. He seemed distant, often lost in thought, and our conversations became superficial. Intimacy between us dwindled, and when I tried to address it, he brushed it off as stress from work. One evening, while folding laundry, I noticed a receipt in his pants pocket from Sepia, a fancy restaurant downtown. The date and time didn't align with any occasion I was aware of, and when I asked him about it, he dismissed it as a business dinner. His nonchalant attitude only fueled my suspicions. Determined to uncover the truth, I confided in my friend Lisa, who suggested I use a GPS tracker to monitor Mark's whereabouts. At first, I was hesitant. It felt invasive and dishonest. But the nagging doubts wouldn't let me rest, so I decided to go through with it. I purchased a small tracker online and discreetly placed it in the glove compartment of Mark's car. The following week, Mark informed me he'd be working late again. After he left, I opened the tracking app on my phone and watched as the representing his car moved away from his office and headed toward a hotel in the north suburbs. My heart pounded in my chest as I realized my worst fears were coming true. I couldn't sit idly by. Grabbing my keys, I drove to the hotel, my mind racing with thoughts of what I might find. Upon arrival, I parked a safe distance away and observed from my car. Minutes later, I saw Mark's car pull into the lot, and he stepped out, glancing around nervously. A woman emerged from the hotel's side entrance and embraced him. They exchanged a brief kiss before disappearing inside together. Tears streamed down my face as I captured the scene on my phone. I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and heartbreak. But amidst the emotional turmoil, a plan began to form in my mind. The next day, I gathered all the evidence I'd collected. The video from the hotel, the suspicious receipts, and screenshots of text messages I'd found on our shared tablet. I knew confronting Mark directly might lead to more lies, so I decided to take a different approach. First, I contacted Mark's boss and requested a private meeting. We had met on several occasions during company events, and I hoped he would be receptive. During our meeting, I presented the evidence, explaining that Mark had been using company time and resources for his extramarital activities. His boss was visibly disappointed and assured me he would address the matter internally. Next, I reached out to the woman's husband. Through some online sleuthing, I discovered her name was Jessica, and she was married to a man named David. I found David's contact information and arranged to meet him at a local cafe. Breaking the news to him was one of the hardest things I've ever done. He was devastated, but thanked me for my honesty. We exchanged information and agreed to keep each other updated on any developments. Finally, I consulted with a divorce lawyer to understand my rights and the best course of action moving forward. Armed with the evidence, I filed for divorce, citing Mark's infidelity as the primary reason. The legal process was emotionally draining, but I knew it was the right decision for my well-being and that of our children. When I confronted Mark with the evidence, he was initially defensive, then remorseful, begging for forgiveness. But the trust had been shattered beyond repair. I couldn't envision a future with someone who had so deeply betrayed me. In the months that followed, I focused on rebuilding my life. I leaned on friends and family for support, sought therapy to process my emotions, and prioritized my children's needs. The journey wasn't easy, but with each passing day, I grew stronger and more resilient. Sharing this story isn't about seeking sympathy or airing dirty laundry. It's about emphasizing the importance of trusting your instincts and taking decisive action when something feels amiss. No one deserves to be in a relationship where they feel undervalued or betrayed. While the experience was painful, it taught me invaluable lessons about self-worth, resilience, and the importance of surrounding oneself with supportive and loving people. After filing for divorce and confronting Mark, I thought the worst was behind me. I thought the pain would slowly fade, and I could focus on healing and protecting my kids. But I was wrong. Things got even messier, more twisted than I could have ever expected. 2 weeks after I served him the papers, Mark showed up at the house unannounced. He looked rough, dark circles under his eyes, stubble he never let grow before, and his clothes wrinkled like he hadn't done laundry in days. He begged to talk. Said he made a huge mistake, that Jessica meant nothing, that it was just a stupid. He wanted to fix things for the kids. I stood there in our living room, arms crossed, my heart pounding. He tried to reach for my hand. I pulled it back. No, I said. You don't get to cry now. You made your choices. He got angry then. Not loud angry. Quiet angry. The kind that simmers just under the surface. He started blaming me. Said I was too cold, too distracted. That I let the marriage die and Jessica just happened to be there when he needed someone. That hit a nerve. I lost it. I reminded him of the nights I stayed up making sure our daughter's fever didn't spike, how I juggled a job and the kids while he stayed at work, how I gave everything to a man who was sneaking off to hotel rooms. He stood there, jaw clenched, fists in his jacket pockets, eyes dark. He left without another word. The next day, I got a call from my lawyer. She told me Mark had filed a counterclaim. He was going to fight the divorce. Not only that, he was trying to argue for joint custody. Full weeks, not weekends. My hands shook as I hung up the phone. Mark barely spent time with the kids before. Now, suddenly, he was father of the year? I started documenting everything. Texts, calls, even little things, like if he showed up late or skipped a visit. Something didn't sit right. I had a bad gut feeling, like he wasn't just trying to hurt me, he was trying to win something. Or cover something. Then one night, Lisa, my best friend, called me. She sounded strange. Hesitant. Are you sitting down? She asked. Why? You're not going to like this, she said. I saw Jessica. At Target. With Mark. I felt the air leave my lungs. What do you mean with Mark? They were shopping. Together. With a cart. They were laughing. He had his hand on her back like it was the most normal thing in the world. This wasn't some affair he regretted. This was a new life. A new relationship. And he was lying about wanting to fix things. Later that week, I confronted him again. I told him I knew. I saw the pictures. I knew about Target. He didn't even deny it. Just shrugged and said, so what? You're divorcing me anyway. It got worse. A few days later, I went to pick up my son from school. The principal pulled me aside. Mark came here this morning, she said. He said he's taking over pickup duty. Is that true? My jaw dropped. No, absolutely not. He was trying to twist things behind my back. Set the stage for full custody. I had to act fast. My lawyer helped file a temporary order blocking Mark from picking up the kids without my consent. Then the real twist came. Jessica's husband, David, the man I had shown the hotel video to, he called me. Said he had something I needed to see. I met him at a diner near his office. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. He pulled out a manila envelope, handed it to me without a word. I opened it. Inside were printed screenshots, text messages, pictures, a full conversation thread between Mark and Jessica. Not just flirty or romantic ones. These were worse. Mark was planning to move in with her. But that wasn't the worst part. In one of the messages, Jessica said, she'll cave once the court stuff gets hard. Just keep pushing. Make her think she'll lose the kids. She'll settle. Then we're free. He replied, yeah. She's not as tough as she pretends. My hands were shaking. They weren't just cheating. They were strategizing. Manipulating. Trying to break me down so they could start their life together clean and easy. I stared at those texts, heart pounding, tears blurring my vision. This wasn't about love or regret. It was about control. Revenge. Maybe even money. I wasn't going to let that happen. But I had no idea how deep this would go. What happened next made everything before look like child's play. After I read those messages between Mark and Jessica, I didn't sleep for 3 nights. I kept replaying the words in my head, over and over, make her think she'll lose the kids. That was the real game now. Not the marriage. Not the affair. This was about control, and I finally understood that Mark wasn't done trying to hurt me. I forwarded the screenshots to my lawyer immediately. She told me to stay calm and gather as much proof as possible. We filed them as evidence to block his custody request. That should have been enough to shake him, but I should have known. Mark always had a backup plan. Then another twist dropped on me like a hammer. I got an email from the HR department at the construction firm Mark worked for. At first, I thought maybe it had something to do with the complaint I filed earlier. But it wasn't that. They were investigating me. Apparently, someone, an anonymous tip, had reported me for harassment and interfering with an employee's career. They claimed I had threatened Mark's job with manipulated recordings and fake evidence. I felt like I was going to vomit. He actually went there. Tried to flip it and make me the problem. I forwarded everything to my lawyer and she contacted the company immediately to provide the actual footage and explain the situation. Luckily, the HR team dropped the investigation within a week after realizing what was going on. But the damage was done. My name had been dragged through mud where Mark worked. Some of our mutual friends started pulling away too. It didn't stop there. One evening, I noticed my daughter, who's 9, being unusually quiet. She wouldn't say much at dinner, just picked at her food. Later that night, when I tucked her in, she whispered, "Dad said you're trying to take us away from him forever." I froze. My heart sank. He was using the kids now, twisting their little minds to make himself the victim. I held her tight and said, "Sweetheart, I would never keep you from your daddy. But Mommy has to make sure things are safe and fair for everyone. You understand?" She nodded slowly, but the damage was already starting to show. The manipulation wasn't just aimed at me anymore. Around that time, I got another unexpected call, this time from David again, Jessica's husband. "You're not going to believe this," he said. "Jessica's pregnant." I literally dropped the phone. He said she'd just told him the day before, casually, like it wasn't a big deal. But here's the kicker, she didn't know for sure who the father was. That's right. Jessica had been sleeping with another guy too, not just Mark. According to David, it was a guy from her gym. Someone half her age. Now suddenly Mark, who had spent months treating me like I was disposable, was possibly about to become the father of a child with a woman who had her own little triangle of lies going. It was a mess. A giant, dripping, flaming mess. And then the final twist of the month hit. Jessica's gym fling? His name was Leo, and apparently he wasn't just a fling. He was a personal trainer. And guess who his next client was? Mark. Yep. Apparently Mark had hired Leo for training sessions through Jessica months ago. That's how they met. That's how the whole thing started. And guess what else? Leo found out Jessica was pregnant, and he wasn't taking it well. Not because of the baby, but because he didn't know she was married. Or that she was still sleeping with her husband while also with Mark. Leo went ballistic. David told me the guy showed up at their house screaming, demanding answers. Jessica ran inside. Mark came out to confront him. And they fought. Right there in the driveway. Police were called. Mark spent a night in jail for assault. I got the call from David that same night. I couldn't even feel shocked anymore. I was just numb. This entire time, I thought I was the one being played. The sad, cheated wife. The one falling apart. But looking at all of this now, I realized I was the only one standing. Mark was unraveling. Jessica was caught between lies. David was done. And Leo? Leo wanted to press charges. I was the only one who had receipts, truth, and control left. But the court date was coming. And Mark had one more move left. The court date was set for a Monday morning in April. I hadn't slept much the night before. Neither had the kids. They could feel something was coming. Even my daughter, who still believed in fairy tales, had stopped asking about when Daddy is coming home. I dressed carefully that morning. Not too flashy. Simple, strong. I looked in the mirror and whispered, "Let's end this." It wasn't just about the divorce anymore. It was about standing up. Taking back my peace. As I walked into the courthouse, Mark was already there, sitting beside his lawyer. He looked like a ghost. The polished man I used to know was gone, replaced by someone pale, drawn, and jumpy. Jessica wasn't with him, thank God. But guess who showed up? David. He sat in the back with folded arms and that same tight expression I'd seen the day we first met. The hearing started slow. Paperwork. Testimony. Statements. My lawyer was calm and sharp, presenting our evidence like a surgeon making a clean cut. When she submitted the texts between Mark and Jessica, I watched his face drain. He wouldn't look at me. Then came the witness statements. My best friend Lisa. The school principal. Even Leo had submitted a written statement detailing the fight with Mark and how he had no idea Jessica was double-timing him. Each one painted a clearer picture, not just of infidelity, but of manipulation, recklessness, and lying so deep it made the truth look suspicious. Then the judge asked Mark if he had anything to say. He stood, cleared his throat, and lied again. "She's painting me like a monster," he said. "But she's not innocent either. She's using this as revenge. She wants to destroy me." I stood up so fast my chair screeched. I didn't plan it. I just couldn't take it anymore. "You lied for months," I said, voice shaking but clear. "You cheated, you lied to our kids, you let your side piece drag you into a mess even you don't understand anymore. And now you want to play victim?" The judge banged her gavel for quiet, but I kept going. "You gaslit me. You used our kids to manipulate the court. You tried to destroy my name at your job. You tried to make me think I was crazy. And now you're saying I want revenge?" Mark just stood there, mouth open, no words. And then came the twist I never saw coming. David stood up. "Your Honor," he said, loud and clear, "I'd like to submit new evidence." Everyone turned. David walked forward with an envelope in hand. "These are photos from Jessica's private Facebook album. She forgot I still had access. They show her and Mark together on multiple occasions, while he was telling this court he wasn't seeing her anymore." The judge took the envelope, looked through the photos. Mark sat down, face in hands. It was done. In that moment, something inside me snapped and healed at the same time. Like my spine finally straightened after years of bending. The judge granted me full custody with visitation rights for Mark under supervision until further review. She criticized him for deception, for placing the children in emotional distress, and warned that any more dishonesty would cost him further access. After the hearing, outside the courthouse, I sat on the steps, breathing for the first time in what felt like forever. Lisa joined me, handed me a coffee. David came over too, looking just as exhausted. "He's going to blame everyone but himself," David said. "I know," I replied, "but I don't care anymore." A few days later, Mark tried calling me. I let it go to voicemail. He sounded broken. Said he lost everything. Asked if we could talk, just once. I didn't respond. Jessica's pregnancy ended in miscarriage. She moved back to her parents' house in Indiana. David filed for divorce the same week I did. Leo left town. And me? I slowly started to rebuild. I went back to part-time work. Focused on the kids. Took up running. Saw a therapist. I let the grief come in waves and then leave. Some days were hard. Some nights I still cried. But I wasn't drowning anymore. I realized I had spent years trying to keep a broken thing together just so it wouldn't look broken to other people. But the truth is, letting it break set me free. I'm not sure what's next. I'm not saying I've healed completely. But I'm standing. I'm breathing. I'm free. And that's more than I could say before. The truth is, being betrayed shattered me, but it also made me pay attention. To myself. To what I need. To what I deserve. If you're in something that feels wrong, listen to your gut. It's smarter than your heart sometimes. And if you're reading this and it sounds like your story, just know, there's life after the lies. There's peace after the storm.